Welcome to Roscommon County Board of Commissioners meeting. This is a special meeting, organizational meeting, January the 2nd, 2024. Let's stand for the pledge, please. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Number 3, oath of office. Okay. Roll call, board members.
Milburn.
Here.
Ostergren.
Here.
Wolfson. Here. Spencer. Here. Russo.
Here. Number 5, approval of the agenda. Before we go further, we have number 7. Number 8 is election of officers. That should be election of officer for vice chair. But with that being said, the chairman is a 2-year term. I am not going to run, or I'm going to step down as chair for the next year. So with that being said, I right now would like to make a motion to make Darlene Sensor the chair for 24 and 25. Yes.
Do we add that on as a B then, or?
We could do that
Beforehand?
before, just for the chair, we could do at number 5.
Okay. So. Go ahead.
Okay.
No. I was just gonna say, it would only be 1 year.
Yeah, oh, that's right, 1 year because of the elections. I had a 2-year term.
So that's a motion and you need a second?
Yes.
I'll second that.
I would also like to add a couple of things to the agenda, if it's going to be in rule changes.
Okay, let's do this first and then we'll continue.
I'm saying I just
Yep.
I don't want to go past the time when I can make
Yep,
a proposal on a motion for a rule change.
correct. We have a motion and a second.
So this motion, your motion is for Darlene.
Yes, chairperson.
We have to vote on that, correct?
Yes.
Discussion,
Mr.
Mr.
Chair.
No other discussion? Oh, Mark?
Are you willingly doing this, Mr. Chairman?
Yes, I am. It was a lot last year, as everyone knows, and it's time to move on. Any other discussion? Roll call, please.
Ostergren.
Yes.
Milburn.
Yes.
Spencer.
Yes.
Russo.
Yes.
Wolfson.
Yes.
Okay, I'm gonna turn the meeting over to Darlene. Yep.
No, I switched that already.
Wow, he said both.
So now we go to approval of the agenda?
Nope,
No.
we're still on.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So number 5, approval of the agenda.
Eric, you wanted to add some stuff.
Yeah, there are 2 things that I wanted to talk about.
We had the motion and the, oh, yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. You can add it during your discussion.
During the discussion and
Second,
vote.
so I need a motion and a second. So I have a motion, need a second.
Just make a motion to second the approval of the agenda and then discussion for what you want to
And
add.
then you add
Yes, then I second.
it. Okay, thank you.
Now we talk.
Now discussion, now you. present.
We're going to continue to add motions, so I'm going to vote no on approval of the agenda because we're not really approving the agenda. What we're doing is we're add-ons.
You're absolutely correct.
Well, this is our organizational meeting in which all these things are supposed to take place, from what I understand.
Comments stand.
Chairperson? Ms. Chairperson?
Discussion while we're doing discussions.
What,
Okay.
this right here is the business, Darlene,
Yes.
right there. That's one thing I want to bring up, you know, for the new year. If it's not on the sheet, then we can't be adding stuff on and voting on it on the same meeting. You could discuss it and wait 2 weeks and vote on it.
That'll be fine.
Can I make a comment, please?
Okay.
Are you finished?
Is this about board rules?
Yes.
We have that on our list here. to talk about.
Okay. Yeah, it's
Already
about
here.
board rules.
Thank you.
And well, and one of them is a resolution, so,
Yeah, but it's right here.
okay.
Okay. Any other discussion?
Any other discussion? Roll call.
Russo,
Yes.
Ostergren,
Yes.
Milburn,
No,
Censor,
Yes.
Wolfson,
Yes.
motion carried.
Public comment? Organization of the board. Election of the vice chair.
nominate Rex Wilson.
Second.
Discussion? Roll call. Okay.
I second.
Okay. Sorry, I'm.
That's
trying-
okay.
We're just playing catch up. Yeah. Okay. Russo,
Yes.
Milburn,
Yes,
Censor,
Yes.
Ostergren,
Yes.
Wolfson,
Yes.
carried.
Unfinished business, new business. A, 2024 depositories and investment policy. I believe everybody got that in their packet. Is there any discussion on it? Not doing anything with it right now, right?
Nope.
Then County Commissioners 2024 meeting schedule. Claims and accounts meeting dates, Budget and Finance Committee of the whole meeting dates, printing of county minutes and public notices and board rules, and committee organizational appointments by board chair.
We're going through each one of these one at a time, correct?
If we have discussion for them, correct?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh,
So your meeting dates you already approved and.
already
Right.
established.
Yeah.
claims and accounts we did too, right? Correct? No? No?
No, because you still had discussion that you wanted to do as far as committee meetings, like Budget and Finance Committee of the whole.
Okay.
Public control.
So the meeting dates we have, claims and account meeting dates. Is there any discussion on those?
I have no problem with those.
Budget and Finance Committee of the whole meeting dates. Any discussion on those? Printing of county minutes and public notices. Board rules.
I have a couple of things. One of them is actually a resolution that I propose to be passed in the next meeting. And according to Public Act, County Boards of Commissioners, Public Act 156 of 1851, subsection 4. The County Board of Commissioners of a county shall elect one member as a chairperson and one member as a vice chair. Chairperson shall be elected each odd-numbered year for a 2-year term unless the County Board of Commissioners provides by resolution that the chairperson shall be elected annually for a 1-year term. The vice chairperson shall be elected annually for a 1-year term. The election of a chairperson or vice chair shall take place in the first meeting of the County Board of Commissioners in a year in which the chairperson and vice chairperson respectively is to be elected. I'm not going to finish that, but what I would propose is I move to adopt a resolution to change our rules to make the election of a chairperson on a yearly basis as provided by statute, as opposed to a single year. Part of the reason for that is the next election is going to be a 4-year term. And a 4-year stretch, having it 2 years, it would make more sense to me, and I think to this board, to have an election every year. If everything is going just fine and great and dandy with some chairperson, it's a foregone conclusion that they'll probably be reelected, and we would want that chairperson. If they want to step down, as Chairman Russo has just done, then that'll be easily done. So I would like to have a resolution drawn up, to have that voted on in our next meeting. The other thing I wanted to talk about in rule changes is to allow the commissioners a position at the end of the last public comments, after the last public comments, to allow the commissioners to make comment. That one of the complaints that I've always received from all of my constituents is everybody says, thank you for your comments, and then we do not get an opportunity to respond. So I would like to propose that we make that change in our rules. And I think that will probably, I don't know if that takes place at this meeting or the next meeting. I'm not sure.
2 weeks
That would take place in this meeting?
No, 2 weeks.
2 weeks, okay.
or next regular meeting.
Okay.
Yeah.
Would that be very much to handle, Michelle, or that pretty easily drawn up in our rules to just add commissioner comment at the end of our standard agenda items?
Well, it's,
After, if we vote on
Darlene
it.
has to put it on for a motion.
Okay.
And then we would have to vote on it, so it's not up to Michelle at this point.
Okay, I just wondered if that was, I was asking the parliamentarian if I'm doing anything out of order. I want to make sure I was doing everything properly.
Well, these are your rules, so
Yeah.
this is the opportunity for you guys to go through and make suggestions
Okay,
to the rules and things that, you know, you want to address, and then it needs to be discussed amongst the board
okay, now's the
itself,
time
and
to discuss it. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah,
Now's a
yep,
good time to discuss.
this is the perfect time to discuss it. You present your ideas and everybody else comments, and
And those are the only
Madam
two things. It looks like Mark wants to make a comment.
I agree with the comment in regard to the board making comments at the end. And I voiced that concern before. I think it's something that should be added. I will not vote in approval of Eric's first comment. We need continuity on this board. I think every 2 years for the chairman should be allowed. So I will not vote accordingly to his resolution. I'd rather tell you how I feel now instead of 2 weeks.
Thank you.
Thank you. Yes.
I have no problem with a 1-year term. And I have no problem with word comment. On the rules.
That's what I was just gonna say. I don't want to see a pissing match at the end because someone told me something.
Also,
Excuse me.
I think we need to make some changes in our motions and resolutions brought to the board. Madam Chair. Other changes, I suggest that she drafts error, present it to everybody individually. They have time to look it over before the next.
And we could even vote. We don't even have to, I'm sorry.
No.
Right in my mouth. Vote on it at the next meeting. We could have another discussion and then vote on it at the meeting after, once everyone's, if we see a draft, if we have to make any changes. That's all I have.
Basically what I was looking at is that I think unless I guess my feeling is to try to get meetings to stay on track and focus on the things that are actually on the agenda as far as motions and resolutions. I think they should be brought at a work session so that we can all openly discuss them and then vote on them unless it's an emergency and has to be voted on in that following meeting. I think they should be brought in 2 weeks.
Mhm.
Madam Chair?
Yes. Yes.
Which one?
You.
You know, we talk about transparency. The last meeting when Eric brought forward the motion in regard to the way I viewed it, leaving the chairman of his position, that was obviously premeditated and it wasn't discussed earlier. We can't just talk about transparency. We actually have to do it. Talking about it is a great thing, but actually doing it can be difficult. We shouldn't have those aha moments that were brought up. At the same time, I want to make sure everybody's respectful to the audience and the audience is respectful to us. It was important for the chairman to realize that. Kicker is that we have to make sure we have the public trust. This isn't the Roscommon County Board of Lake Level Control Structures. It's the Roscommon County Board of Commissioners. 50% of what we've discussed this year has been about lake levels. We need to get back on track and do the people's business.
Yep. I agree 100%.
Madam Chair?
Yes.
Comment also. But I do appreciate all the work that we've got done. It has taken a lot of work, and we have done a lot of work on our lake level control structures this year, but we've accomplished a lot. We now have a delegated authority in place that's going to get a handle on what's going on. Did it take some work? Sure it did. But, you know, getting things done in government is, as they say, like making sausage. It's tough. And there's a lot of brutal things that ended up happening. It just is the way things work when you have controversy. You have to work through them. Mr. Milburn, you have to work through them.
We didn't need all the drama, though. The drama was needless.
Yes.
We're addressing that. We're gonna talk about lake level control, one meeting a month.
Mhm.
7.
We're 7 in.
Oh, motion number
Oh,
7. Okay.
Okay, yeah.
I'm looking at number 7 on this. I'm like, what?
Can I ask some clarification on what you're talking about, bringing it up in a,
Ms. Mills.
are you talking about bringing up a motion or having a discussion in the work session and then voting on it in the meeting directly thereafter, or waiting 2 weeks?
Waiting 2 weeks.
Okay.
Unless it's an emergency of some sort that we had to vote on it, I think. Because what my feeling is that when something's brought up, lots of times, at least for me, I leave here and then I start thinking about other things that I might have wanted to talk about or ask and get questions and information. And if I am forced to vote on something at that meeting, the next one, then it kind of ties your hands if you think of something later that you might have wanted to get brought up.
There was a few times this year where we was brought up, we voted on it, and then we had 2 weeks later discuss it again because it was not right. That's how come if you bring it up, it should relax for 2 weeks in case there's any changes and vote on it in 2 weeks to have another discussion. Thank you.
One other thing.
Madam Chair? Mr. Milburn
Yes.
again.
You know, I don't know if we're ready to move on to G, but committee organization appointments for board chairperson.
Mhm.
It's been the standing rule that the board agrees on their committee assignments. That we just don't talk to the chairman or vice chairman and say, this is how it's going to be. That's not how we run. What we do is we make sure that the assignments that are handed out, or delved out, fit the individual's skill set. So I would ask for consideration. The policy may be the chairman or the vice chairman make the policy for the appointments, but it's always been the good order of practice of this board to to get input and acknowledge from every individual to make sure that skill set is utilized correctly. So I would caution, or at least ask the board chairman to consider those requests.
I would actually have to agree with that because to me, if you're just appointing somebody and it doesn't fit, then are they going to do as good a job as what they would if they didn't want to even be on that committee?
Thank you.
So I would agree with that.
I agree also.
Another for board rules is possibly separating unfinished and new business so that it's really clear what our unfinished business is and any possible new business that is coming up. Maybe have those separated. That way we kind of know. Yes.
The board chairman should never, ever, ever be caught off guard in regard to unfinished or finished business. As a matter of fact, the board shouldn't be caught unawares. It's good transparency clause that if something's going to be brought up unfinished business, that is put on before the meeting, because otherwise it catches the board chairman and it catches the public off guard, and it doesn't prepare the commissioners to do their job fully to their expectations. So there should never be unfinished or finished business that hasn't been discussed thoroughly to the chairman, to the other commissioners.
In addition, I would agree with that as long as we can bring up any topic that is germane to whatever we're talking about in the work session. In other words, it doesn't have to be on the work session agenda. Okay, but we get to discuss it, whatever topic we want to bring up inside the work session. And then go through it. Otherwise, new things, that come up aren't able to be discussed or anything. So as long as we can bring things up in the work session.
But that's where you get with the chairperson prior to the meeting that Thursday before.
Well,
Wait a minute, and you tell the chairperson, I would like this on the work session, and that's the proper place to discuss it to move forward instead of bringing it up in new business.
no, I'm not talking about in the regular meeting. I'm talking about in the work session.
Right. But
We
get
should be
with the Thursday night, no later, you have to Wednesday night. When they prepared that agenda on Thursday morning, they shouldn't have to add on to that agenda from Thursday to the time of the meeting unless it's an emergency.
I see where I think I see where Eric's driving, which kind of me into itself. Sorry, Eric. There are going to be things from time to time that come up that are going to be important to discuss. That flexibility always rests with the chairman and the fluidity of the environment and also the gentlemanly and ladylike continuity of this board. I wanted to bring up something and I felt it was in the best interest of the public to do so. I should have that opportunity. However, this is the however part. It shouldn't be a pointed discussion that gets egregious in nature, belligerent, and capricious. It should be done in a gentlemanly like tone to be able to bring to the forefront the business of the people. That's very, very important. We need to focus on that.
Any other? Now we go to committee organization and appointments. Standing committees. We all have our current assignments that were given to us at this point, unless there's somebody that is not happy with a committee assignment. I think that they should continue as they are.
I agree with you.
I'm not happy with my committee assignment, having to do with and I think it would be better turn over to one of our other commissioners who is no longer vice chair and has experience in working with the Northern Lakes Community Mental Health. And we're working on something there also because this has been an ongoing problem with their, I can't remember what they call it, delegation or their the paperwork that they came up with what everybody's supposed to do. and enabling agreement. That's what I'm talking about. And I recently talked with one of the other members and her comments, so I'm going to read her comments to me. I asked her about the enabling agreement, and she said, sorry about Saturday email. Eric, please meet Nate Alger, GT County Administrator and Chair of the 6th County Enabling Agreement Group. He's the one that drafted the group. Nate, Eric is the Roscommon County Commissioner who's been assigned to be on the board of NLCMH. Eric is very concerned about his ability to provide the time and understanding to NLCMH issues as they deserve. Eric and I have brief discussions about the requirement for a county commissioner to be on the NLCMH board. As you both know, it is a very complex and time-intensive board. Eric said that there are county law enforcement deputies or staff who are interested in the work of NLCMH and mental health care in general. We briefly discussed the possibility of amending the enabling agreement to allow for a commissioner to appoint someone from their county sheriff's department to take their place on the board. Personally, I think that would be a great person to have on the board. I looked up the agreement procedures for the enabling agreement, and it says the agreement is to be amended only by the mutual agreement of all the contracting counties pursuant to a resolution authorized by all the county boards of commissioners and entered into writing. There's no requirement that the counties would have to meet in person. I'll let the two of you discuss this. I have not discussed this yet with Nate, but that is the direction that I would like to head, because we have excellent people on our staff that would be much, much more effective because they know the inner workings of the mental health and the jail system and how everything works internally. That doesn't mean that the commissioner shouldn't be involved on a quarterly or at least involved in communications. But these meetings are a full-time, I'm telling you, they're a full-time job. It's a full-time job. It's much more intensive than this job as being a commissioner. The way they have constructed and worked up the enabling agreement. And this is a new enabling agreement. I think they put it into effect last April or May. So I think we need to look at how this is actually working with the organization itself. And I hear the same issues going on with a lot of the other commissioners at the NLCMH.
Yes.
Do we have to, by statute, have a commissioner on this board? Because years and years ago, getting a head suggestion from Jody, yes. Do we have to have a commissioner on this board, or could we have a civilian?
So the committee that, let me back up. In April, you guys approved the enabling agreement, and the language in the enabling agreement states that it will be a commissioner that sits on the board. There will be at least one commissioner, because the arguments from the counties was there was no commissioner oversight. And therefore nobody knew. It fell apart. I don't know how else to tell you that. It's not been super public, but there were a lot of issues with that. And that is one of your statutory responsibilities, is to provide those services to your constituents, be it individually as a county or in the model that you currently are in. Nate Alger actually is my counterpart in Grand Traverse County. And he did share that on behalf of the request of the Grand Traverse board. And it was Grand Traverse that was very insistent about having a county commissioner on. At that meeting, it was determined that there were 2 counties that did not currently have commissioners seating, and we were one of those. So three counties wanted it, 2 didn't really care. But your board, that current board, would be the board that could make that change and push that through to the rest of the counties for approval of changing that. But right now, the way that that's written,
The reason being,
you
and
must.
I'll give a little history to the audience and to the commissioners. Years and years ago, didn't have to have a commissioner on the board. Bill Ansel, good friend of ours and the community, was sat on the board along with Al Cambridge. Then they changed the rule. I appreciate Eric's consideration of me, but I sit on NMCA, which is Traverse City, District Health, which is down in Clare. Also, I do signing bills down in Mount Pleasant, COA. So I'm pretty packed right now with committee assignments. So I don't feel like I'm the most qualified individual for that. But how are we looking across the board, Madam Chair? as far as who's doing what to who, as far as, I mean, I'm out of town a lot on my committee assignments.
Yes, you are. You got a full schedule.
And the COA obviously is a very busy one too. So with NMCA and Traverse City and District Health down in Mount Pleasant, Claire, I feel that I'm kind of tapped out.
Madam Chair? Yes, I'd like to just, to answer your question, is it a statutory requirement?
It is.
It is not a statutory requirement. It is an enabling agreement requirement. I think Ms. Valentino will.
Yes, that's what I meant. It's a statutory requirement that counties provide mental health services.
Correct. It's not a
Yes.
statutory requirement that a commissioner attend. That's why we can change the enabling agreement.
Correct. That can be done through the NM.
Well, and that's a different animal. I misunderstood that. I apologize. Personally, I would rather see a professional that wants to be on that board. This is just my thoughts.
Yes.
I would rather see an Al Cambridge who's twice as smart as I'll ever be on my best day, and who's very passionate with NMCA, mental health. The guy's qualified, he's passionate.
He is already there.
I know that. Bottom line, he's the best guy for the position. An elected official often doesn't add value.
You're absolutely correct, and I'm trying to, it starts with an A. I'm trying to remember the young lady's name again. Angie is very, very familiar with, that's why I was suggesting that we be able to appoint someone like Angie to attend the meetings along with Al and report back to us or stay in communication with the commissioner that's in charge of that committee. I have no problem with that at all. But I'll give you an example. They got 2 meetings this month. This one all the way, and these are full day meetings. And you can't believe the paperwork I'm sent. It is incredible. I mean, it is a full-time job. I'm serious. Do it right. And I believe Angie has the capability, much more knowledge and capability of doing something. That's why if you assign this to me, that's what I'm going to be working on, is getting that changed.
I can see the value in that. Because, but the bottom line is there's a lot of moving parts. We gotta talk to the sheriff, Penlow, Angie, find out if it's good within their skill set too. They have their obligation, obviously, is support, protect, and serve our community. But I certainly would entertain the discussion that transpire.
Yeah, it is not my skill set. I'm not familiar with the logistics and what happens back at the jails with the mental health problems.
Madam Chair,
I see the value.
Yes.
may I suggest that Eric work on having someone like Al Cambridge or Angie?
Al already
in
goes
lieu
all the
of-
time. Yeah,
In lieu of our board member,
exactly.
see what you can work out with that organization. Bring it back to the board.
Mhm.
Maybe a suggestion.
Because the commissioner does not have to attend by statute. That's my point.
Okay.
And that way we would have representation. Sound feasible?
If that is with the approval of the board, I would like to work towards doing that.
It's okay.
Madam Chair,
Yes.
other things on this list. I see that Commissioner Russo is kind of overloaded. If he would like, I could take over Asaba Valley watershed zoning and building and grounds, to relieve him of some of that.
I'll give you the first one. I'll continue on building the grounds. I enjoy that.
Anyone else?
And actually, I think this year they're coming back and I could be the alternate on that.
I think we had an alternate before.
Right, and I could just switch to the alternate. This
Sounds
year,
okay.
they didn't have one,
They
you know, I
don't have
got all the
any-
information and there was no vote,
And
no
then
vote.
sometimes we'll have 3.
Yeah, but this year there was nothing for us to vote on. One case.
Any other discussion?
Madam Chair.
Yes.
So some of those committees it's the chairperson that is on those, so we'll have to go through it.
And look at those. Looking for motions and resolutions.
Okey-dokey. Number one, move to adopt resolution number 2024-01-01. The resolution authorizing investments of county funds and improving county investment policy as presented by Treasurer Rebecca A. Reagan, effective January 2nd, 2024.
So move.
I'm not done yet.
Oh, I didn't
Resolution
know you were
number
gonna read all that.
2024-01-01, resolution authorizing investments of county funds and improving county investment policy. Whereas pursuant to the provisions of Act Number 20 of the Public Acts of Michigan of 1943 as amended, the Board of Commissioners of the County of Roscommon may authorize the county treasurer to invest county funds in certain investments. And whereas this board wishes to authorize such investments as permitted by Act 20. And whereas Section 5 of Act 20 requires this Board of Commissioners in conjunction with the county treasurer to adopt an investment policy which complies with provisions of Act 20. And whereas the county treasurer has submitted a proposed investment policy which complies with provisions of Act 20. Now therefore be it resolved by the Board of Commissioners of the County of Roscommon as follows. A, the county treasurer is authorized to invest funds of the County of Roscommon in investments authorized by Act 20. B, the investment policy attached hereto as Appendix 1 is approved and shall take effect on January 2nd, 2024. C, before executing an order to purchase or trade the funds of the County of Roscommon, a financial intermediary, broker, or dealer shall be provided with a copy of the county's investment policy and agree to comply with the terms of the investment policy regarding the buying and selling of securities by executing the form attached as Appendix 2. E, the county treasurer is authorized to rely on the continuing effect of this resolution until and unless it is specifically amended or rescinded by a future resolution of the Board of Commissioners.
So, I didn't know you were gonna read that.
I second.
Discussion? Roll call, please.
Ostergren,
Yes.
Milburn,
Yes.
Censor,
Yes.
Wolfson,
Yes,
Russo,
Yes.
resolution adopted. Number two, move to approve Chase Bank, CIBC Bank, MBIA, Huntington, and MILAF to be designated as the official depositories for the County of Roscommon.
so move.
Second.
Discussion? Roll call?
Milburn,
Yes.
Ostergren,
Yes.
Censor,
Yes.
Russo,
Yes.
Wolfson,
Yes,
motion carried.
Don't read those dates, please.
Didn't we already approve these? Yeah, we did these so I'm sorry, this motion is redundant. We did this in December. So I missed that. I had a mental note.
wait a minute. Excuse me, Madam Chair.
Yes.
I think the consensus was that we did, but I was told when I posted them on my bulletin board, that those are not approved yet.
I didn't hear what you said, Rex. Hook the mic up.
After that meeting, I posted these on my bulletin board, and it was mentioned to me that those were not really approved yet.
Let's check.
Let's approve them. As written, not read.
Go for it then.
All right. Move to set the 2024 Board of Commissioners work session meetings to begin at 9:00 a.m. and regular meetings to begin at 10:00 a.m. on the following Wednesday dates. See below.
There you go. So move.
Second. Discussion?
Madam Chair,
Yes.
the The 10 o'clock time for starting a regular meeting.
Mhm.
Do we know that we have to adhere strictly to that 10 o'clock time? Or can that run over if we run over in a work session?
It's legally you can run over, you know, if the regular meeting doesn't start to 10:15. But you can't put 10:15 and start the meeting at 10 o'clock, so that's why we do that.
That was my only question.
You can't start early, but you can start late.
Makes sense.
Any more discussion? Roll call?
Censor,
Yes.
Russo,
Yes,
Wolfson,
Yes,
Milburn,
Yes.
Ostergren,
Yes.
motion carried. Move to set the claims and accounts meetings for the day before the first monthly board meeting with the exception of December, where an additional claims and accounts meeting will be held on Tuesday, December 18th, 2024.
we'll move.
Second. Discussion?
We want to put a time on that? Reason being is we have a regular meeting on December 18th. We probably should, for clarity, at least have an adjusted time.
Good idea.
It would be my suggestion that you put it on as time later than, normally it said 11, but we've never made 11 this year.
no,
And late is good, but like people kind of, some of our department heads may only be coming for budget and finance and for them to, oh, claims and accounts. Oh, you don't need a time for claims and accounts. Everything's virtual now.
It says it's been posted for several years because I wouldn't have just added this, that claims and accounts was held at 9 a.m. in the commissioners conference room. So whether that's been taking place
Can't do
or
it because
not.
we're on a work session.
So, but it's not on the meeting day. It's the Tuesday
it's the
before.
Tuesday before, Mark.
Well, I got at the very end of the sheet, it says December 18th, 2024 for
It's
the,
just for that date because of the holiday.
I just,
But we have a meeting, is what he's saying, on December 18th.
we have a meeting that day.
Oh,
Right,
they
but-
actually should be December 17th.
Okay, then we need to make that adjustments so the public understands when they're meeting.
Oh, yep. So
Or the
that,
typo,
good
but,
catch.
we need to make sure we address it.
So, right, so it would be held on Tuesday, December 17th, 2024. as
Perfect.
opposed to- This is the 18th actually is Wednesday.
Thank you.
Roll call?
Milburn,
Yes, with that correction.
Ostergren,
Yes.
Russo,
Yes,
Censor,
Yes.
Wolfson,
Yes,
motion carried. Move, number 5, move to award the printing of the synopsis of the Board of Commissioners special and regular meeting minutes for the year 2024 to the Houghton Lake Resorter.
we'll move.
Second.
Discussion? Roll call?
Russo,
yes,
Ostergren,
Yes.
Censor,
Yes.
Wolfson,
Yes,
Milburn,
Yes.
motion carried. 6, move to set the Budget and Finance Committee of the whole meetings for the following dates: February 28th, April 24th, June 26th, August 28th, October 23rd, and November 13th.
so move. Excuse me.
Second. Discussion? Roll call?
Wolfson,
yes,
Milburn,
Yes.
Ostergren,
Yes.
Censor,
Yes.
Russo,
Yes,
motion carried. Number 7, move to set the lake level control structure meetings following the first board meeting of the month.
we'll move.
Second.
Discussion?
Madam Chair.
Yes.
Does this provide the board the flexibility, or should we just not? I mean, I see the value of putting a meeting up front, but the bottom line is maybe the second meeting of the month is the time that we need to discuss. There may not be something to discuss. I think it sets into concrete, it doesn't allow the board the flexibility. So I see what the direction we're trying to go. And I appreciate the comment that we have a first board meeting, but I don't think it adds the flexibility for the board chairman. I'm not so sure this motion is needed. It fixates you to have that meeting whether you want to or not.
I believe we discussed that before, and if there's not going to be any business, we're going to adjourn it.
It says move to set the lake level control function following, it's very
Yeah.
specific.
I see what Mark's saying, and you could just call the meeting. Well, we would have to advertise it if we're gonna have
Yeah.
the meeting. So if you feel there's a need for the meeting, just get with the clerk 24 hours before.
But I thought we discussed it before and we determined that if there was nothing to bring forth, we just don't have the meeting.
We still have to have a call.
But I'm
Since it's
getting,
going to be immediately following our regular meeting, I don't
Okay.
see any I don't see any problem with doing that. Is you go in and you bang the gavel a couple of times and you're done.
what happens on the second board meeting of the month, though, if you have something to bring forward, you can't really do it because we've already established the fact that we're not going to do it at that meeting. I think I understand what we're trying to do, and I appreciate that. I think that this will solidify our discussion and decision-making.
Are you saying just make it once a month following one of the meetings?
I
or-
think the chairman and the vice chairman should have the flexibility to call that meeting when they feel is appropriate. That's my thought. Now, I could be wrong and often am. The thing is, I think it solidifies that argument and it doesn't have the flexibility. And I'm kind of being redundant here, but you see the train of thought that I'm going with. But I see Jody shake. If I'm wrong, tell me. This is the time to tell me I'm wrong. I don't have a problem being wrong.
Madam Chair, my understanding, you, Mark, that you want us, when we put together agendas, that's when we decide when it goes on?
Mhm. Gives you the flexibility, Rex.
Okay
I'm
with
fine
that.
with that.
That means we could have more than one meeting about lake level control structures. a month. Is that what you're
Absolutely,
saying?
Yeah, if you did it.
absolutely.
But in the
I like
winter
that.
months, when nothing's going on, why have a meeting if we
Right.
don't have nothing to discuss?
And I wouldn't hope that we do it every meeting, but I think it adds the flexibility to allow the
Well,
chairman.
it separates it out, like you mentioned earlier, separates it out and doesn't interfere with our regular business.
I don't want us to wait a month on a program because somebody from the audience would say, we haven't discussed this, this is not your meeting. And then Rex would want to bring something forward. We wouldn't be able to move on it because we've set in stone that we've already put a motion to following the first board meeting of the month. I don't think this motion is needed personally.
So I'm looking at our delegated authority who owns his own business and works on this. And you have chosen a wonderful person to serve as delegated authority. However, to willy-nilly add on lake meetings assumes that your delegated authority will be able to make that. And I think the more organized you can keep that, the better off it is for the person serving as the delegated authority, because you certainly don't want to have meetings without your delegated authority here. I'm just throwing that out there.
Madam Chair,
Right?
Yes.
if we accept this motion, that does not keep us from adding on to an agenda at another time of the month if needed.
Well,
You could always add a meeting. You don't even have to make a motion for that.
with Jody's coaching and well thought out comments, I will amend my consideration and go with your recommendation because I see the direction we're going. It's important for the public to be in, and we can always, at the chairman's leisure, add another motion or another meeting. I just want to make sure that we're not set in stone. But I see the value of what we're trying to do. So thank you, Jody, for steering me in the right direction.
Any more discussion? Roll call?
Russo,
Yes.
Ostergren,
Yes.
Wolfson,
Yes.
Milburn,
Yes.
Censor,
Yes.
motion carried.
Yeah, this is just public comment?
Chase Shupke, Delegated Authority. You guys can have the meetings whenever you want. My question, I don't know if I can ask questions. Do the lake levels include SAD stuff as well?
I would.
That would
I
be
would
the board's
most certainly think so.
determination, but yeah.
I would hope it would all be included because going forward, there's probably gonna be more SAD stuff than actual just dealing with lake levels. But I don't know if that needs to be included in there for that to be brought up so that people know that it's not just lake level, but SAD information is gonna be
Make it
presented.
just lakes, period.
I just wanted to make that comment. As a constituent, the other comment I want to make is, Mark made the good point that in the past year, probably about 50% of the board meetings have been spent on the lakes. I think an important, my opinion, as a constituent, it's important to remind the citizens that the board cares more about people, more than just about people that live on the lake. People that live off the lake have the same voice. And I would, I guess, ask the board to keep the Emery Road kind of in the back of your minds or on the schedule that this could be talked about and be looked at. See what the board could to help those constituents out.
Thank you.
Madam Chair,
Yes.
with your permission, I would rather have more information than less. If you feel it's needed, this is my thoughts. I would appreciate more information than less. Thank you.
Any other public comment?
We have one, good comment. You can go ahead, good comment.
Maybe they're taking the mute off.
Yeah, I can't.
While we're waiting, any other public comment? With that, then we would have adjournment.
So move.
Okay.
All in favor?
Aye.